In this video, I will be demonstrating how to create and submit an invoice for CT1 and CTA1 contracts. Vendors are now able to submit invoices for their active contracts through Passport. Once vendors have created an invoice, they will submit it for review and disbursement. You must be provisioned with one of two user roles to submit an invoice in Passport. These user roles are Vendor Admin and Vendor Financials Level 2. To begin invoicing in Passport, please go to the Financials Navigation tab at the top of the screen. And once you hover over it, you'll see a drop-down menu appear. Please click the first option in the drop-down menu, which is Browse Contract Budgets. Once you have clicked on Browse Contract Budgets, you'll see where all of your POs live. And you'll also see blank fields where you can enter information. So we are going to pay close attention to the keywords field. Here we are going to enter our PO ID. Once we have entered our PO ID, we can either hit enter on our keypad or go to the right of the screen and hit search. After hitting search, we will see the PO that we will be using to invoice appear. Next to the PO ID is a pencil icon. Click on the pencil icon to enter into the PO. After clicking on the pencil icon, we will see the header of the PO. Here you'll see a lot of important information, including the status of the PO, which we want to make sure is active because we can only successfully invoice against active POs. On the left side of the screen, you'll see different navigation tabs ranging from Overview to Changelog. We want to pay close attention to the Budget tab, and once we have clicked on the Budget tab, we'll see important fiscal year information. Some of this information will include our fiscal year budget amount, which is the total amount that we have received for the fiscal year, the invoice amount, which is the total amount we have invoiced for the fiscal year, and our remaining amount, which is going to be the total amount we have left after we have subtracted the invoice amount from our fiscal year budget amount. And underneath the fiscal year budget information is the detailed FY budget. Here we can see all of our deliverables in our budget, and we can see which of these deliverables are marked as invoiceable. So it's important to note which of these deliverables are marked as invoiceable because we can only invoice against deliverables that are marked invoiceable. So as you can see, we have two deliverables and each are marked as invoiceable. So now we're going to move on up to the Create Invoice navigation tab at the top of the screen. From here, we are open to a page that reads Invoice Header, and we are going to first start entering the information into the required mandatory fields. We can tell which fields are mandatory based off of the red asterisk next to it. So we begin with entering our invoice reference. Our invoice reference will be an alphanumeric identifier that makes it easy for our agency and ourselves to identify our invoice. I usually use my name or nickname and the number of the invoice. So my nickname is Izzy, and this is going to be my first invoice. So for my invoice reference, I wrote Izzy W1. Next, we're going to move on down, and we're going to look at the next mandatory field, which is payee vendor and payee address. We want to make sure that our payee address is the same address that we have on our pay information portal, otherwise known as our PIP account. And this is important because our pay information portal has to do with the electronic disbursement of funds. So please make sure that these two addresses are identical. Now we'll go up to the top and see the next mandatory field, which is orders/contracts. Here we'll see that the PO is already populated in the orders field. And this is because we are using our PO to create our invoice, so the two are currently linked. So we'll move right along to the next field, and that is going to be the invoice document. So this field is not marked with a red asterisk, meaning that it is not mandatory, but it is helpful to include documents in order to avoid your agency rejecting or bouncing back your invoice. So we can go to the navigation tab that reads click or drag to add files, and once we click on it, we'll go and choose a document to upload, and we are able to upload an unlimited amount of documents, but each file has a file size of 125 megabytes. So we are all set, so we're going to hit save. And we receive a blocking alert. So this alert reads, please add items under products and services. We will scroll down and see a new field has appeared titled products and services. So we have two options. We can add all invoiceable items or add an item. If you like to add all invoiceable items, we suggest using this when we have more than one deliverable marked as invoiceable. And we have the option for add an item, which is when we are able to add one single invoiceable deliverable. If you remember from our budget, we have two invoiceable deliverables. However, I am only going to add one deliverable. Next, a pop-up appears for invoice line. There is one mandatory field marked by a red asterisk next to item label. I'm going to click on the three dots, otherwise known as an ellipses, and I'm going to choose the one invoiceable deliverable I decided to use for my invoice. Next, I will hit save. And now I am able to enter the information for the other fields that were previously blocked. So I'm going to enter my service dates, and we want to keep in mind that our service dates must fall within our fiscal year. My PO is for the fiscal year 2024, so my service dates must be after the cutoff date of June 30th, July 1st. So I'm going to say I performed services on July 10th of 2023 to July 14th of 2023. Next, I'm going to enter my invoice quantity. Here, I am going to pay close attention to because this is a very unique situation. Our units is under each rather than dollars. And our unit price is $450. And I would like to invoice for the amount of $225. So that would be half of the unit price that we currently have. So I will enter 0.5 in my invoice quantity. It's important to note that if our units is each, Passport will automatically send our invoice to quantity. If our units are in dollars, Passport will automatically set our invoice to amount. So we have entered 0.5 in our invoice quantity, so I'm going to hit save, and I am going to check my current amount. So my invoice amount is now $225, and this is the amount that I wanted to invoice to my agency. So I will go and hit save and close. And perfect. So now we can see that when we scroll down, our invoice amount is now 225 in our gross invoice amount. Before we could go and submit invoice, we are going to hit save. And we're going to check our invoice amount once more. And now our net invoice amount has also updated to $225. So now we are ready to submit our invoice to our agency. So I'm going to go up to Submit Invoice, Navigation tab, and I am going to read the legal authorization. And next I hit OK. And my invoice has been submitted and I am on my way to getting paid. For more resources on submitting an invoice in Passport, please visit nyc.gov/passport. If you still need help with Passport, please visit nyc.gov/moxhelp. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.